Yeah, I found some wacky stuff with Donatello, and I haven't seen anybody else even share this information or have a video on it or anything. And I don't exactly quite know how this works. All right. So I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm going to show you some weird stuff with Donatello. But I came across all of this because all I've ever heard is that the last ride plate doesn't work with Donatello. And that didn't make a lot of sense to me because he has three moves that throws out a ton of traps. He has a finisher that throws out a ton of green. And the last ride plate, whenever you make 15 trap gems, you get a 200% increase to your green gem damage. That that should work like peas and carrots. Okay, so I went out to test that, and it turns out, spoiler alert, it does work. It works just fine. And how we're going to prove it is the 200% gets added to the base gem damage. It doesn't get added to trainers, doesn't get added to straps, doesn't get added to metals, doesn't get added to anything except for the base green gem damage. So 3 hollow stars, 6-star bronze, I'm only rocking 9477 green gem damage. It is his tertiary color, which kind of hurts the idea even more. But I digress. So the number that we're going to be looking for is a change of 18,954. Okay, that is 9477 doubled. Gets you to 18,954. So remember that number. Strap, just to go over this, it doesn't really matter in this for the bulk of this video. It doesn't really matter, but I am running last ride plate because I was testing it out. I'm running a phenomenal flow, break green, get purple to try to help a little bit with the recycle because triple purple does not recycle at all, and I'm running Fury 2 metals. Moveset is the triple purple, tear up and spin. Throw out 29 trap gems. If your opponent breaks them, throw out 4 multis. And if you break them, decrease the damage of all your opponent's gems by 4% for 2 total turns. All right. This is huge, I think. Pretty sure it's huge. Shell Shock is a choose purple sub. Nothing really fancy about it. And then Cowabunga, 1.2 million damage, and throw out 39 rando gems and make them green gems. All right. Entourage is Woods for 4 MP, and then Sonya for 2 extra sub turns. I went with sub turns instead of sub damage because I want the opponent to break as many, or I thought I wanted the opponent to break as many trap gems as possible. And then I have Acro Dragon here for 100% more trap damage, and then throw out 2 more traps, and then Z-Ray to throw out more green. Okay. So my thought process was, let's boost up green gem damage as much as possible, have some multis out there, let's figure out how big of a hit he can do. Going up against Veteran Cena here, it's just because he can't turn 1 or alter the board state any. All right. So first things first, our green gem damage right now is 21,900. And we want to see a variant of 18,954. That will tell us if the plate is working or not. All right, so let's throw out our traps. And here's a green gem with nothing on it. It's 40,854. All right, we're going to subtract our 21,900 from it, and we get 4,5,9,1,8. If you add that up, look, everything lines up. There we go, 40,854. Plate works exactly like it's supposed to. Not a single problem with it. Works as intended. Okay. So we continue on with the moveset. We need to break 6 purple in order to get moves reloaded. And then we need to set up gems in such a way that the opponent will break as many traps as possible to throw out multis. All right. Working exactly as intended. Now we have a bunch of multis. He's broken most of the traps. Perfect. Exactly what we wanted. Row break, it's a little annoying. Doesn't really matter. Okay. So here I'm going to throw out traps again because it's going to trigger the last ride plate. So I'll get that extra 200%. And then I get an extra 100% for every trap gem that turns green. So that's basically X3 on its own. And then every X3 that I get broken that turns green will end up being X5 green as far as damage is concerned. I know that's a lot of numbers. It doesn't really matter because watch this shit. Hit or finisher. We're basically going to break every trap on the board. And we're probably going to hit for about, I don't know, 7.5 million, something like that. Watch the first swipe. This went up to 9.3. The kick out gem damage increased. It increased. And I thought, there's no way that has to be a fluke, right? But I've been running it and it keeps increasing. And I think the reason it's doing that is because every trap that you break decreases your opponent's gem damage by 4%. Well, in order to get to 100%, you have to break 25 of them. You're breaking at least 29, right? That's 116% gem defense. In every other situation in the game, if you go to 100 plus gem defense against a card, it just reduces the gem damage to 1. Merrick's has done a ton of videos on this. I'm sure everybody has done at least one video on armor medals and trainer trick hockey talk man, increasing your armor or your gem defense all the way up so you can take a 4-star bronze character and fight a 5-star gold and tours and stuff like that. We've all seen it. I think Scopely screwed up and they didn't program the traps the right way. So that when you eclipse 100% gem defense thrown at the traps, it actually cycles back around and starts adding damage the other way. That's the only thing that makes sense. So when the opponent did one swipe, instead of doing damage, it did the kick out swipe gem damage and then added 16% to the total kick out damage that was needed. So you saw the number increase. Right? That's the only explanation for what happened. So, since when you break the trap gems, it works for 2 turns, I was like, well, what happens if you, instead of worrying about your opponent breaking as many traps as possible, you break as many traps as possible? So you get increased gem defense from your traps being broken. I'm going to go back to 2x speed here real quick. So what does that look like? Well, row breaks, because every gem you place will overwrite the trap. But if you can make row breaks, you will break more traps. You'll break more traps than, all right, where is, I can't see. You'll break more traps that do 2-turn, 4% gem reduction. And you can see it. You're already up to 13. You let the opponent do its thing. Trying to kick out. He is going to make some X3s for you. That's all great. And then do it again. And let's see if we get a bigger variance. So a bunch of greens again. Again, this should still only hit for about 7.5 million. That's what you should expect. There's 7.1. First kick out went up to 8. So the first swipe, now that didn't go any higher, but it wasn't any lower. The effect still happened. You still got 1 million damage on the first swipe. So I started thinking even further there. I was like, how do I continue to test this? My theory is because you're doing more than 100% gym damage defense on a kick out? Well, you find an opponent that has higher gym damage, because higher gym damage theoretically mean a higher increase of your kick out gym damage. Well, BPP here is 6-star gold. Now, I probably won't win this. So I may quit out or whatever, depending on how it goes. But you will 100% be able to see what I'm talking about. So once again, let's throw gems. Let's throw some row breaks. And I'm not too worried about it being safe as long as I can make sure that his red moves don't start loaded on his turn. Perfect. Throw him again. Go back to 1x speed. We hit the finish. I didn't change anything. This hit should still be anywhere between 7 to 7.5 million. Maybe a little bit more if we get a killer cascade. I have stacked the 4% gem defense 44 times. 7.7 million. Look, it went up to 31 million. Boom. 3 hollow stars, 6-star bronze. Knocked out a 6-star gold BPP. This is not normal results. I've had a 2-turn and 3-turn this often, but it always happens this way. The more damage that an opponent does when they're first trying to kick out gets added to the kick out gem damage total. It's totally wild. I've never seen anything like this ever. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think this is an absolute coding mistake by Scopely. I don't think this is working as intended, because again, all the other gem defense stuff just brings everything down to 1. This is actually putting things back into the negative, it feels like. The other thing that I didn't test, because I do have limited resources, is if you add gem defense belts or armor medals or honky tonk man as a trainer or anything like that, does that affect the amount that the kick out damage goes up? My theory is yes, it would, because all of the traditional ways of gem defense do lower your opponent's gem damage and will lower it down to 1, meaning they can't put any damage into the trap gem defense. Does that make any sense? Probably not. Anyway, I've been rambling for a while on this, but this is so silly. If anybody out there has any insight, please let me know, because I can't quite figure it out, and there's no real good way of testing it because I can't see what's happening on the opponent's side of things. I don't know what's getting debuffed. I don't know what's getting buffed. I don't know what their gem damage is. I don't exactly know how to calculate kick out percentage increases. Is that against base gem damage, or is the kick out percentage increase? Because I think you get 1 at gold anyway. Does that take into account trainers and belts and blah, 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 blah? Like, I don't know. And there's no way for me to control that information, so I can't calculate the information. All I know is that it's silly. That's it. This is just, it's just absolutely goofy. Again, if you thought this was entertaining, or if you learned anything, or you just like the sound of my voice, do me a favor, click the like button, click subscribe, maybe share it to a buddy of yours, and I'll have another one for you.